Oh, you know what that is, don't you?
So how would this soft-hearted, tech-savvy, egghead of a man answer the tough age-old question of what comes first,
and I pull it
the
out.
chicken or the egg?
There's a chicken on it. Now notice that egg has an X on it. I guess the egg. I'm not sure how. Oh, because that's where chicken came from, but then where did the egg come from? I don't know. Here's an egg. You want an egg?
The egg seems to be the answer, but in the end, the yolk was on me. What's the lifespan of a chicken?
Depends on how old it lives.
Les Larson will be presenting more chicken keeping classes at the Oakdale Nature Center in June and September. Visit the center's website for more information. Les may also be featuring his coop in this year's Twin Cities Chicken Coop Tour. Apparently it's quite a big deal and there are many coops featured on the tour. If his is on the tour and you go, be sure to say hi to Beep Beep and Simon for me. Now, back here inside Century College, the Tedx Mahtomedi event is taking place. Not sure what Tedx is and why it's happening here, but we've got some answers in this local image segment.
Well, today is Tedx Mahtomedi, our second annual event, and it's a collaboration between Century College, the school district, Mahtomedi School District, and the city of Mahtomedi, supported by a bunch of community volunteers. Technology, entertainment, and the design world. That's what the TED stands for. The X stands for kind of a location, and so across the world, there is TEDx events happening almost every day, hundreds of these events, bringing people together to talk about ideas worth sharing. And that's the theme of the TED organization. We're expecting about 100 people plus today. It was a sellout, and just excited to have the day finally here.
Well, the thing that I'm interested in are the differences among the speakers. So when we were here for the audition and for the practice last week, the people were so different and their points of view were so different. It was great fun. And I find that that's what really gives texture to any experience.
I'm always surprised when I listen to them that they all have something that, that strikes me as worthy. There's a gentleman who is talking about healthcare. He's actually a veterinarian. And he makes a really profound statement about comparing something to something else. And I won't tell you what that is, so you'll have to watch, but I'm looking forward to hearing him today.
It's a rare opportunity that you get to deliver a message to 100 people who are really concerned about the future. People who are open to new ideas, people who are engaged in a variety of things, and I think people who are creative and collaborative.
The community has a history of storytelling, entertainment, information, and gathering, and we're going to continue that tradition today with TEDx 2014.
I'm the founding executive director of an institute called the Human Systems Dynamics Institute. What we do is to help people deal with change. We take lessons from chaos and complexity. Everybody knows about chaos. And we help people see what's going on, understand it, and then take action.
I've been part of MAGI for years, the Mahtomedi Area Green Initiative, and we decided to take on water as one of the core issues, and we've combined with H2O for Life, and the school systems and the mayors are all signed on for Race to Reduce, which is a program that has us rethink how we use water and how we value water. And my presentation today is going to try to make a splash of understanding how wasteful we are and what we can do to start to change that.
My topic is restoration. So I'm an old house enthusiast. My husband and I used to restore old houses. But today I have a new passion, and it's helping people restore their lives and their communities. So the message is really, how can people plan, respond adeptly to unexpected things that happen, and how can we be intentional about making our worlds and our lives a better place?
the idea of bringing community members together to talk about important ideas and hopefully stimulate some more sense of community as well as the actions that might come out of it. We had a presentation last year around the school's mission of Mahtomedi School, and so that discussion then was brought to the school board, and maybe that opened some minds about the variety of kids that are in schools and maybe broadening the mission to be more inclusive.
The main point is that we need to realize collectively we can make changes. You know, people always feel like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do anything about that. Baloney. And especially when you have communities like Mahtomedi, Birchwood, White Bear Lake, it's a small enough group you can get your arms around it, and we really collectively can make changes. And then other communities look and say, oh, that makes sense, maybe we should do that.
Diverse members from across the community coming together for the good of the whole. And any way that that can happen. I know it happens with the food shelves here. I know it happens with the Fab Lab here. I know it happens with the farmers market. All of those are places where people from all across the community weave together their passions and their resources for the good of the whole. So what I would hope is that this sparks some more of that in Mahtomedi.
More information about TEDx and the local Tedx Mahtomedi event can be found on the website tedxmahtomedi.com. And like TEDx events, mapping trends and helping to shape the future is something our Community Media Center is undertaking during this, our 30th year of operation. Since knowing the past is important to planning for the future, we've been sharing a look back at how community television evolved here in the northeast suburbs. Here's another clip from that local image show we did 10 years ago, featuring the core of what makes community media so special.
That was one of the things you taught in your access class. You said you're the editor, but it's also your editorial comment. You're the one who chooses, it's not us. We're just showing you how to do this so you can do it, whether you're commenting on the mayor's race or you're going out and covering a football game.
For me, it's been a personal issue because there's been some things we've done on our show and even at school in River Falls that we want to do that people are, no, that's not okay. Who says it's not okay?
This is from the police reports and the DA.
Certainly free speech is a fabulous, incredible thing. I try to tell them, I welcome you to embrace public, the free speech, but also with those rights come responsibilities, and with those responsibilities, you are responsible for what you say, and that could cause some problems for you.
We've had someone on the show that said some things about someone else, and got in a little bit of trouble about that because they weren't true, or whether or not they were true is a privacy kind of a thing. And we hadn't thought about that, but we learned about that. That was an important lesson we learned here.
Staff or the organization is not having a problem with their speech. They have to know that it's somebody out in the community is having a problem with their speech, and it's just staff's responsibility as the stewards of public access and PEG access to take action and to make sure that they're aware of it. And then it's really between the producer, the speaker, and the person in the community who is offended or sensitized to what they've said.
You want to interest people, but you don't want to upset them. Or maybe upset them a wee bit, but keep them interested.
Above anything else, above all the great equipment that's here, and there's a lot of nice stuff here right now, above all anything else, that's the best part about SEC, is that you really have the freedom to say what you want, and no one's going to tell you you can't.
You may not agree with what I'm saying, but I have the freedom to say it. And I'm not going to lose an advertiser because I say it. I mean, this is the difference between the major networks, Oh, don't say that, we'll lose that advertiser. No, you're free to say whatever you want on here.
And once in a while we get calls about some program that isn't quite up to somebody's standards, or they say something wrong.
We'll see you next week.
And we hear about that more than we do about all the good stuff that happens.
I think that public access is one of the only places where you truly have freedom of speech in its purest form.
Free speech is for everyone, not just for the few.
It was big and it was heavy.
And the machines that recorded were gigantic and
separate deck you had to carry around, and that was heavy.
Haul out a lot of heavy equipment when they were doing a program.
You needed nearly a truck to carry the stuff with you.
It was a 3/4 inch tape, so it was a much bigger tape.
But I said, what are those, bricks for building a house? I mean, you know, at some point you need to hold up a 3/4 inch tape and a little DV cam tape and show people what the difference was.
It took a lot more work to make it look good. You couldn't just turn it on and hit all the auto settings and go.
And there was 3 tube cameras who were in the studio, and the technicians and the staff had to always go around and tweak them to get the three different colors to come together and not get people too green or too red or off. And
that equipment was hard to use, and it deterred a lot of people.
I remember reel to reel where you had to take the tape and we had to wind it around, and there was no such thing as editing. Editing was what we crash edit, and you would hope that the squiggly lines and the breakup between the shots wasn't too bad.
I can remember when the first camcorders came in the early 90s, late 80s, how excited we were not to have to drag all that around anymore.
You've come a long way in the editing suites, and like you say, the camera, the size and the lighting and sets.
The editing hasn't changed so much in the linear end of it, but the nonlinear now brings us to a whole new world where we can produce things that we could do things that we couldn't do back then.
A room full of equipment now can be basically replicated in the form of a software program that's on a laptop.
You wonder, about 10 years from now, even 5 years, how many more improvements. It's going so fast. It's just fantastic.
If you stop having the tools that people are asking for, that people want, you really stop being important to the community.
There's got to be a place you can hang your hat and call home, and that's the Access Center.
It's really amazing how fast technology is changing the world of communication. But one thing that will never change in community media is the value of our First Amendment right to freedom of speech. It's alive and well here in the Northeast suburbs, and I hope it stays that way. And I hope you stay a fan of Local Image or become one on our On Location TV19 Facebook page, where you can share your thoughts and story ideas with us. Until next month, I'm Judy Skyvoss, and I do thank you for watching Local Image.